Hello everyone, happy Wedding Wednesday, and today is actually not a Wednesday. I'm filming this on Tuesday the 19th of June as it's a month on from Harry and Meghan's wedding, and I haven't actually spoken about my thoughts or reflected on the whole experience or the wedding itself, so I thought I'd do this little uncut video on how I feel about the whole Harry and Meghan wedding. So I hope you guys have got a cup of tea, because this might be a little bit of a long one, but yeah, let's get into it. First of all, I want to address some of the criticisms in people saying that this isn't significant. I know there are a lot of people who don't believe in the royals and don't really see the point in there being a royal family, which is fair enough. To be honest, I think that they are like living historical figures, and they really harken back to a very interesting and complicated past in British history, but there is something about them that really brings people together, and this wedding was no different. There were loads of people that, even people that don't even really like the royals, that watched that wedding and really got into the Harry and Meghan spirit. So that was really interesting that a lot of people were brought together by this wedding, even if it wasn't their thing. So I want to talk about why this wedding is important, and it is important. This is a cultural milestone, but perhaps not in the ways that you might have thought at first. So yes, Meghan is a mixed race woman, and in America she would be classed as a black woman. This is the first black princess we've ever had in the royal family, and this is not something that we ever thought would happen. It's not a question of representation. We don't elect who our royals are going to marry. We don't elect who's going to be in the royal family. It's all blood ties. It's not a question of representation because we don't elect her. This is about integration and globalization. The fact that different cultures and different skin tones are all so well integrated into British society, that we have a royal prince who is marrying someone who is of colour. That's crazy. That's absolutely bonkers. We never thought that this would happen. It's not something that I don't think anyone could have predicted or anticipated would be the case. The fact that the royal family actually welcomed Meghan with open arms as well, to the point that Prince Charles walked her partway down the aisle, is really significant. That's so important. We have a woman of colour and an American woman in the royal family, and this is important, this is significant, and I think anyone that denies its significance is really missing the point. But that's my take on it. I think that this royal wedding is unlike any other royal wedding that we've ever had before, and it was really culturally significant, even from the ceremony to its wider significance of having a woman of colour in the royal family. It's a big deal. So now I want to talk about the wedding itself, and I did watch it. Of course I watched it. I had to watch it. I think I was taken aback by how personalised the whole thing was. It did feel extremely royal. Obviously there were carriages and horses and fanfares and all that kind of thing, but it did also feel like a normal wedding at the same time. There was something about it that felt a little bit more intimate and personalised, like it was personalised right down to its core. That is the way that the wedding industry is going now. Everyone is really personalising their wedding day, so it really reflects them as people, and I found it really interesting that this wedding really reflected Harry and Meghan as people and not figureheads. So it was a weird one. Like, this ceremony was just so full of their personal touches and full of their own cultures. So I'm not going to talk about Bishop Michael Curry, because everyone's talked about him. Everyone has mentioned how powerful his reading was. It really did touch a lot of people, and it meant a lot to hear that from a black American man at a royal wedding ceremony. That was really important, so I won't really touch on that. That's all I'll say on that. I'll talk about the other parts, and my favourite part was the gospel choir, actually, the Kingdom Choir. I think they sang so beautifully, they looked amazing. Stand By Me is also an unorthodox choice for a royal wedding as well, but it was so beautiful, it was so angelic, and I really enjoyed their performance. I also enjoyed the performance of the cellist. I'm really into classical music, and Sheku, the 19-year-old cellist who played at the wedding, was chosen by Harry and Meghan because he was the Young Musician of the Year a couple of years ago or something like that, and they chose him personally to play during their ceremony signing. I thought the pieces he played were beautiful. I think he was so emotive as he was playing. One of the particular pieces I'm really familiar with as well, and I just felt like there was so much emotion and gravity to his performance. I thought it was absolutely beautiful, really lovely. I really enjoyed it. The dress, okay, so there was a lot of buzz about the wedding dress and the fact that some people were disappointed because it wasn't, stunning them, she wasn't slaying them, all that kind of thing. I actually really liked her dress because it was really reflective of her. Like, that was her style. She didn't have to, she could have gone the full princessy route and went really big A-line dress like this and, all glittery or very princessy and, that kind of thing. But she pared it back. She went really demure, really classic, really simple, and in that way she looked like herself on her wedding day. Like, she definitely chose that dress because she loved it, and she had that dress designed because she loved it. And I think that I was too proud of her for not giving in to the pressure of looking like a princess to criticise what she was wearing. I think that she looked fantastic because she's Meghan Markle, she always looks fantastic, but I think that it was truly reflective of her own style, and that was really important and significant to do at a royal wedding. I think that was a big deal, so I'm not going to bash her dress. I think, you know what, you go girl. I want to talk about the flowers a little bit because I absolutely loved the arch and, the front of the chapel, the way that was dressed. Philippa Craddock did an amazing job, really beautiful. Obviously I would have liked to have seen more colour. I thought we were expecting like peonies and foxgloves in the bouquet and, for it to be a little bit more, a bit bigger and a bit more fancy, but I appreciate that it was very simple bouquet, very pared back, very hairstyle, but I was after maybe like a little hint of colour, even if it was pink or a little bit purple, something like that. That would have been really nice. But obviously I do, however, like the story behind the bouquet, that Harry had picked some of the flowers himself from the gardens in Kensington Palace. That's really lovely and a great idea. Overall, I think it was a really beautiful ceremony. I think it is one like no other, and we'll remember it for years and years to come, and we'll just have to see where the royal family goes from here and what Meghan will bring to the royal family. It will be interesting to see if she actually speaks out about race inequality in the UK and America now that she's in the position that she is. Where will this go? Where will Harry and Meghan bring their union to the forefront and actually speak out on issues that are plaguing the British society at the moment? It will be really interesting to see where that goes. But for now, I wanted to talk about my experience on the BBC and speaking about the royal wedding on BBC Breakfast Show and BBC World. So, so here's what happened. I got to Windsor Castle and they gave me like a special wristband thing to be able to be let into the grounds, because not everyone can. So I had to get a special wristband to let me on the grounds. there was a lot of waiting around because that's what TV is like, but it meant that I could go and meet people. One of the cool people that I met was Victoria Howard from The Crown Chronicles, and she's a royal expert, and she's actually the same age as me. She's also a millennial. So we got on super well and had a really good chat before our appearances, so that was really cool. And then all of the news outlets were set up under these like little marquee things, wires everywhere, cameras everywhere, and you know, a lot of really big presenters that you've seen on telly before just giving their address to all of the cameras. So it was a lot going on. It was very busy, it was very overwhelming, and I was really nervous. I was so nervous. I just couldn't stop myself from like shaking, and I don't know, it was just such a surreal experience that it was really scary. It was really scary. So went on the BBC Breakfast Show, spoke to Naga Manchetti. Some of you saw that, and thank you so much to everyone who watched it. It really meant a lot to me to have everyone afterwards sending me messages and sending me photos and video of, you know, of them watching me on their telly, and that's incredible for me. That was a really surreal thing, and I thank you so much for doing that. It actually meant so much to me. I really want you to know that, so thank you. The appearance was really short, and then afterwards we went back to the BBC hut, and I was speaking to one of the makeup artists, and she was talking to me about wedding planning, and she's like, oh, so how is it, you know, wedding planning? And the presenter that was in the chair was having her makeup and hair done, swung around in her seat and said, oh, you're a wedding planner? And I'm like, yes, I'm a wedding planner. And she's like, oh, that's really interesting, tell me more about it, and I'd love to have you on my show. That person was Lucy Hawkins, and yeah, she made space for me on her show. And unfortunately I had barely any charge in my phone, so I only had time to tell one person that I was going to be on BBC World. So of course I told my mum, and my mum lives in Portugal, so she wasn't able to see the BBC Breakfast Show appearance, but she can watch BBC World, so I knew that if I told her, she'd at least get to see one of them. And I felt so much more nervous for this one. I don't know why in particular. I was a little bit more in my groove, but it's really trippy because when you're in front of the camera, there's also a screen underneath you. It's for the presenter so that they can see what's going on in the studio and what people are seeing live, basically. And because my top was so bright yellow, I could just keep on seeing myself like on the screen, and it was just tripping me out. It was really spooky, and I just thought, oh my god, my hair is getting so big, and my shirt is so bright, and it was really distracting me. So I thought that I was a bit more fumbly on that one, but it was a much longer segment. I got to speak for about 5.5 minutes on my own, so I wasn't with another guest, and I really think that was the better out of the two appearances, because I got to speak about things that I care about, like millennials and the fact that there are more groomzillas than bridezillas, true story, and I got to speak about the logistics that go behind planning a wedding and your relationship between the wedding planner and the couple, things like that. So I felt like that was a really good appearance, and I'm really gutted that no one else got to see it other than my mum, but I am glad that my mum saw it because she's super honest with me, and she said, you know, that I came across really well, and if she says that, I know it's true. So yeah, that was my experience, and I really value it. I think that was a really cool thing to do. I don't know if it will lead to things in the future. It might never happen again, but I know that I can say that I've been on the BBC, and that's really, really cool. That is so cool, so cool. Been on the BBC for the royal wedding. That is so cool. So those are my thoughts. That was my experience. Those are my thoughts on Harry and Meghan. I wish them every happiness now a month on from their big day. I hope that everything goes well. I hope they have nice, you know, latte coloured babies coming through sometime soon. And yeah, those are my thoughts. I really love to know what you think about the royal wedding, about the wedding itself. And yeah, I thought that now I would show you one of the appearances, the BBC Breakfast Show one. It's the only one that I have a recording of so far, so I'm going to leave you with that, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.
It's well underway there in LA, and yes, 27 hours, 15 minutes, just over there, the happy couple will be tying the knot. Let's talk now to my guests. I've got Olivia DeSantos, who's a wedding planner, and Carol Walton from Vogue magazine. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
So Olivia, you've helped lots of couples plan weddings. Now, I said 27 hours to go. What would you be saying to them now in terms of what to think about, their mood as well, but also last minute preparations?
I'd say just try and relax as much as possible. I advise all of my couples to have a really nice hot long bath before the day of their wedding, really sink into the feeling, and on the day itself do set aside maybe like 5 minutes where you're just alone, just the two of you, because the day goes by so quickly, you blink and it's gone. So do have that moment after you're married that you feel, gosh, we're married, you know?
That was one of the bits of advice I gave earlier. We spend 3 15-minute moments, just you two, so that's what you remember, because there's so many people there, so many people as well, Carol, looking at what they're wearing. Let's start with Prince Harry, shall we? What will he be wearing?
Well, I think he might wear the Royal Marines. He's Captain General of the Royal Marines, and he took over from the Duke of Edinburgh. It'd be really nice for the Duke of Edinburgh that he wears that, and I think they're doing the Guard of Honour from the chapel to the castle. So I think that's what, and there's nothing like a wedding with a groom in uniform. I think it really just adds something.
It looks very, very smart.
Yeah, it does.
And lots of speculation about the dress, if it's going to be a dress that Meghan Markle will be wearing.
Well, I think it will be a dress, but I think traditionally, don't you think, Olivia, that people second time dress down? Absolutely. But I think this has become...
You're saying second time because she's a divorcee?
Because she's a divorcee. But I think because it's a royal wedding, I think she will do the whole big royal wedding white dress, or maybe ivory, and everyone's thinking Ralph and Rousseau, and maybe Roland Murray for the evening, who's a great friend of hers and who does that classic wrap and drape, and so she can relax and dance, I think.
What kind of style are we seeing? Because we saw her in a wedding dress in Suits, of course, the programme she starred in. I'm not sure it was as elegant a dress as perhaps you might be hoping for, but what kind of style are you thinking about for Meghan Markle?
Well, I think her style is pretty laid back, but with sophisticated. It's quite an American look, but I think she'll go. The word is it's going to be quite big, and when you think of a historic large nave in a chapel, you've got to hold that church. So you can't walk in just a sheath. You've got to have you've got to have some substance to it. So I think probably a bodice angle, a lot of embroidery, embellishment. I think, you know, the Queen's dress when she married, Norman Hartnell did a lot of floral embroidery.
Well, Princess Lady Diana, her dress was huge.
Her dress was huge. I don't think we're doing 80s meringue, but I think
there was a place.
I think it'll be glamour, modern glamour, and I hope, you know, a lot of personal embellishment, things that the Duchess of Cambridge had the flowers from the different, the thistle, the rose, the shamrock, and I hope they have something that is a nod to the US, maybe the rose.
Well, that's interesting as well, isn't it, Olivia? Because the transatlantic theme has definitely fed into the actual wedding ceremony and, of course, the celebration.
Absolutely. Like, one of the things that they're having, which is a very American thing, is the cake, which is a sponge cake. It's very traditional in the UK to have a fruit cake, and they've opted for a lemon and elderflower sponge cake, which is a very, very American thing. Although, to be honest, whenever anything is very trendy in America, we adopt it the year after in the UK market anyway, so we'll see that feeding in for the rest of the year as well.
But also in the ceremony as well, the sermon is being given by a member of the Episcopal Church.
Yes, and we're also having a gospel choir be part of the ceremony, which is marrying the two cultures together, which is very on trend at the moment. Lots of people are mixing their cultures and showing their cultural differences through their wedding styling, through their wedding ceremony, and this is no different.
Oh, it's going to be good fun. Olivia DeSantos, thank you very much. Carol Whitten, thank you very much as well.